talking about .NET Entity Framework CLI, I would also like to talk a bit about Azure DevOps pipelines. So what you can see here, this is a regular Azure DevOps pipeline, and basically this is a build pipeline for the same web API application that I just used in my previous example. The tasks here are pretty much simple and straightforward. As you can see, I'm installing .NET 5, I'm restoring my packages, I'm building on all my projects, then I'm basically publishing all my projects, and it looks pretty much familiar for any other .NET project that you may have. But let's scroll a bit down here, and what I have here, I have a set of tasks which I will use basically to do that thing, to generate the SQL script for my Entity Framework migrations. So the first task, as you can see here, is to install the .NET Entity Framework CLI in general, and I'm doing that by typing .NET install .NET-ef --global. You can run that command locally as well, and it will actually produce the same results. So what will happen, you will install that Entity Framework CLI, and that will be available for you on this particular machine. The funny stuff is that, as far as I remember, Microsoft removed the Entity Framework CLI from the .NET Core SDK version 3. So if you're using the version before that, so let's say .NET Core SDK version 2, then that tool may be actually a part of your SDK already. But anyway, this is the way how you can do that right now. I mean, like with the .NET 5 and stuff. And as soon as you have that tool, what you can do then, you can basically run that tool to create your migration scripts. So what I'm doing next, I'm basically typing the .NET Entity Framework migrations script command, and I need to specify a few arguments to generate a SQL script for my migrations. So the first thing, I need to specify the path to the project where I have all my migrations, and I'm doing that by providing this project argument here. The next, and again, this is not mandatory, this is just the way how I designed my example, and in my example I have all my migrations in one file, but all the other things related to how the Entity Framework works in general, I mean like the design assembly, I have it in a separate project. And I did that on purpose. I will not talk about that purpose now because that's not the part of this conversation, but anyway, I mean like if you're doing the same, then you need to specify the startup project as well, because in a startup project I am basically creating the Entity Framework default context. But if you were following with your Entity Framework the same approaches that they show to you in the, let's say, most of the manuals and tutorials online, then you should be fine with just specifying the project itself. Okay, so next what I'm doing here, I'm specifying the output argument, and as you can see here, the output argument is basically showing the exact path, or let's say the exact file name of that newly created SQL script. I mean like the script that will be created as a result of this command. And then I specify probably the most important argument in this whole bunch, and that argument is idempotent. It basically means that it will create that script in a way that you can apply it to any database, and you don't care actually about which other scripts were already applied to the database. It will check for each and every migration, was it applied or not? If not, it will apply it. If yes, it will skip and proceed forward. And I will show you in a few moments why this is extremely important. And as you can see, the final step here is, as soon as I've created that script, I basically exported, or like I published that as an artifact. So let's go to Azure DevOps and run this pipeline.